Hello, this is Jeff Cowan coming to you from thejeffcowan.com with my weekly podcast entitled Success in Professional Sales and Life in General. Welcome back. I really appreciate you coming back, and I appreciate you bringing your friends, and I got one suggestion for you. Keep bringing more friends. Like me on Apple, like me on Google, like me on all the social media outlets we're on, and let's just make a party out of this. You want to? Because what my job is to make you the absolute most successful professional salesperson you can be, and you have my promise I will do that for you. Well, today, I've got a really unique message. It's a fun message for me. It's a way to help you stand out. It's a way to help you stand out. And so let me kind of frame this for you, because it all really is based on this. You know, about almost 12 years ago, in 2 months it'll be 12 years ago, I married the love of my life. And when I did, I made my best man, or asked my best man, my dad, to be my best man at my wedding. So, keep in mind that at that time, he's probably 74, 75 years old and in a wheelchair and whatever, and we're standing at the altar. And as we're standing there waiting for my wife to walk up, I looked down at him, kind of clowning around, half nervous, because getting married is a pretty serious thing. And I said, aren't you supposed to be giving me some type of life lesson or something? Give me some sex talk or whatever? And he, thinking that I was serious, did give me some advice. And the advice was priceless. He simply said, yeah, I've got some advice for you. It's simple, it's to the point, and will help your marriage last as long as you want it to last. And it's real simple. He just simply looked at me and said, if you ever stop dating her, somebody else will. Now, how profound is that? You know what I mean? Because, see, that's what had happened to me when I had past relationships that had failed and past marriage that had failed, is that I dated, and then once we got married, we stopped dating, and somebody else usually did. So how does this tie to us? Well, I'm gonna bring it around to, if you stop dating your customers, somebody else will. But I'll tell you, I took my dad's message to heart, and ever since that wedding day, every single Friday, unless I'm out of town because I frequently travel, but every Friday, and by the way, if I travel, when I come back into town, we make another night. But every Friday night, we have date night. We go out on a date. It could be something as simple as a dinner. It could be a movie. It could be going down to the park or walk on the beach. It could simply be during the recession, as a matter of fact, when things got really tight. We just told all the kids in the house and everybody, you got to get out of here. The family room's ours. We're going to sit here. We're going to pick out a movie. We're going to open a bottle of wine. We're going to have some cheese, and we're going to have our date night. And I tell you, it's the best thing that I've ever done because, again, my dad was right. If you stop dating, then somebody else will. To the point where, as I sit here and record this today, my wife is on an airplane right now. She'll be touching down in about an hour and a half. I've not seen her in over 10 days, and I will guarantee you that when I walk in tonight, we will have a date night. I will walk in with flowers. I will cook her dinner. She'll help me cook dinner. We'll have a glass of wine. We will have our date night because if you stop dating your wife or your spouse, somebody else will. So how does this tie into business? Well, like I said a second ago, if you stop dating your customers, somebody else will. And really what we're talking about here when we're talking about dating customers is paying attention to them, saying thank you, showing them that you're appreciative of what they do in the business they throw your way. And it's getting easier and easier to stand out in this regard because more and more companies are moving away from saying thank you and showing their appreciation. For example, let me give you a great example here. Up until about 4 or 5 months ago, I used to go to Starbucks maybe once every 5, 6 days, not even that often. Sometimes every 6 to 10 days, I'd stop in there and get a venti iced tea because they make really, really fresh iced tea, and I love iced tea. Well, it was always fun to go into the place right around the corner from where I live because I knew the staff in there. We'd say hi. I would ask about their grandkids. They'd ask about mine, some of the younger kids. They'd ask where I was going, where I'd been. I'd talk to them about their school projects and stuff. And they always said thank you, and they always made me feel appreciated. Well, one day I was in there, and somebody told me that Starbucks has now got this app because one of the only problems I had with Starbucks is sometimes you'd pull in, if there was a long line, sometimes they didn't have time to stay, because it just took a while to get the drinks. So somebody said, well, man, if you get their app, you can order ahead of time, and when you come in, you just walk to the end of the counter, your stuff will be there. They'll even tell you how long it's going to take to get it prepared, so you just walk in, you get it, and you go. So that was great news to me. So I download the app and I start using it. And now, whenever I'm in town, I pretty much go to Starbucks every single day and get my iced tea, and sometimes more. Even get cake pops for the grandkids, or maybe a sandwich for the wife or something like that. Well, this sounds great, and it sounds like Starbucks is making out. And this is where I'm a little bit conflicted. But here's the problem I have, is they no longer say thanks. They no longer say thanks. I now go in there almost every day when I'm home, including the weekends, to get this iced tea because I like it. It's kind of like one of my vices, right? And you know what? So I've gone to from spending maybe $6 every week in there to spending closer to $30 every week in there. And when I go in and pick up these drinks, nobody even looks up. Nobody says thank you. Nobody has said thank you. Nobody has said thank you for coming in. Even during Christmas time, nobody said a word. Now they send out these little messages where I can get, if I buy more product, I get more product, but nobody has looked up, looked me in the eye, and said thank you. My point in sharing this with you is because more and more people are moving away from saying thanks. Amazon's another one. I don't know how many thousands of dollars I spend there every year on all kinds of stuff and never even get a thank you note, a thank you phone call, nothing. So it gets easier and easier to stand out. So how do you, and it gets, and when I say stand out, here's the problem. I mean, if these companies aren't really dating me, what would happen? I know this is hard to fathom at this point in time, because they're so big, Starbucks and Amazon, but what would happen if somebody came in and they were able to do what they did and they said thank you, and they dated you, and they showed appreciation? How long would those companies last? I mean, it's a great question, and I'm sure sometime in the future we may or may not find out. So how can you date your customers? How can you stand out? How can you make sure that nobody else starts dating your customers? Well, there's a few ways, and it's really pretty simple. And so here's what your assignment's going to be this week. I want you to make this your week-long thing. Now, if you can do this every day this week, great. If you're busy and your schedule's already set and you have to do this all on Saturday morning or maybe Sunday or maybe postpone it until next week since you're just getting this message, I'm okay with that. But take a week and do what I'm getting ready to recommend. All right, first thing you can do, send a thank you note. Yes, send a handwritten thank you note. Now, when I say send a thank you note, you say, well, you mean if they buy something? No, just send a thank you note that just says, hey, I was sitting here today and I was thinking about you and I was thinking about the long relationship that we've enjoyed, and I just wanted you to know that I personally appreciate it. So from me and my family to yours and yours, thank you very much. Send a thank you note. Write it out, put it in an envelope, and mail it to them. And if you can, make the card special to maybe one of their likes or whatever. For example, if you're sending a card to somebody that really likes dogs, then get a card with dogs on it. There's millions of different thank you notes you can get. If there's something that makes you stand out, for example, I'm into Indy cars, so a lot of times I send out thank you notes that have Indy cars so they know that they know it's coming from me. Or maybe you're sending something to somebody or to a group of people that are involved in baseball, so maybe you'd have baseball. But thank you notes, just to say thank you for standing out. Thank you for doing business with me. Thanks for all the things that you've done. Nothing else, no coupons. Don't ask them for business. Don't tell them about a special. Don't even bring up business other than the fact to say, I just was sitting here thinking about you and I appreciate everything you've done for me over the last few weeks, the last few months, the last few years, the last several decades. And I just wanted to say from me and my family and my business to yours, thank you very much. Now, another thing you can do, thank you calls. Now, the handwritten thank you notes have a big impact. You've heard me talk about this in several messages already over the last 6 or 7 months. They have a big impact because, as I've stated before, versus typing up a mass email or or text or a form letter, when you can be doing billions of things when you're doing that, but when you're physically writing out the thank you note, people know that you had stopped and were thinking just of them. Well, another thing you can do to do that, to take it up a notch, and you can do that and this and or whatever you want to do, I would do probably this in both of them, is call them and say thank you. Just pick up the phone and call your customers and say thank you. Just say, look, I just want to give you a quick telephone call today and say thank you. This is about no business, about nothing. It's been a while since we've been able to sit down and talk or go to lunch, whatever, and I just wanted to say thank you very much for all the business you've given me, and thank you for supporting us over the last several weeks, several months, several years, whatever it is. So no big deal. I just want to call and say, again, thank you from me and my family for everything that you've done. You might even on that phone call, now I do this all the time. I make it a point to do this at least 3, if not 4 times a year. Now, a lot of these phone calls go really quick, but occasionally you'll get on a phone call and you'll talk for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Many times, I can't remember the last time I did this where I didn't get 1 or 2 invitations just to meet somebody for lunch. And I took them out to lunch and we didn't really even talk business. We just talked. I was dating them, if you will. Okay, so thank you notes, telephone calls. inviting people to lunch for no reason. And again, it's important, like on the calls, you do not bring up business. Now, if your customer brings up business and says, hey, I'm glad you called because I got a question about this, always just say, well, I have no problem talking to you about that if you want to, but I wanted to let you know I wasn't calling looking for business. I was just calling to say thank you for your business. Now, there's a few more things you can do, but before I get into that, I want to do a commercial. I want to tell you about this book right here, what I've learned from attending over 35 Indy 500s over my lifetime here. It's lessons in sales, motivation, leadership, management, and life in general. And I tell you, the book is flying off the shelf. Now, I know there's a lot of companies out there that like to buy books, and then they read a chapter one week, and they come back and they discuss it, and then they read the next one and the next one. This is a great book for that. There's all kinds of sales lessons. There's advertisement, marketing lessons in there. There are management lessons. There's leadership lessons. There's motivational lessons. There's lessons there for life in general. This would be a great book for you to buy for your company, all your employees, and make that a project. If you're an individual, this book would be great for you to sit down and read one chapter a day and learn something about yourself, about sales, motivation, life in general. It's very entertaining. I'm getting rave reviews on it. And this week, I will be completing my audio version on it. I'm going to do an audio book. They've asked me to do that. And I'm also going to do a video version that will be on a video program, so full testing of the whole thing. It's killer. I mean, we're just knocking this thing out of the park. You can get it at thejeffcowan.com, thejeffcowan.com, and either hard copy, soft copy, you can get it audio version. If you want to get it at amazon.com, you can go there, get the same way, hard copy, soft copy. You can download it to your Kindle or your tablet, whatever you want to do, and soon the audio book will be on there. So get that book. It's killer, okay? Come on, do me a favor, get that book. Now, back to this. We were talking about how if you stop dating your customers, somebody else will. So I was talking to you about a couple companies like Starbucks and Amazon's where we spend millions of dollars, it seems like, every year, and we never really get a thank you note unless it's tied to some coupon or do more business. I told you the way to date your customers were to send thank you notes that just say thank you. Don't ask for business, no coupon, just thank you for doing business with me. Just out of the blue. Same thing with the telephone call, out of the blue. I'm not calling to earn business or tell you about any special promotions. I'm just calling to say thank you for the business you've given me. Now, there's some more things you can do. Here's another one. This is one of my favorites. Send postcards. Out of the blue, send postcards. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big IndyCar fan, so one of the things I've been famous for over the years, I mean really famous, is I go to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and I literally buy hundreds of their postcards at a time. And I will send them to people throughout the year because they know I like it. And on the back, all it says is thanks, and it's always got really cool pictures on the front, and people always talk about them, people always remember them. When I go to different events, like if I go see an Angels game out here, or go see the Dodgers, or go something like that, I'll buy a postcard or something and send it. And something else you can do when you're at different events like that, if you know that one of your customers is a big baseball fan, and maybe they've never been to see, like for example in my area, the Angels game, maybe you buy them a program and send that. I mean, it's like what, $5 or $6, and just say, hey, look, I was at the game, I picked this up, I know you're a baseball baseball fan, hope you like this. I've sent programs from races, I've sent programs and materials from all kinds of trips from all around the world to people who had similar interests, never asking them for their business, never putting a coupon in there or talking about promotion, just simply saying, thank you, I'm dating them so somebody else doesn't. Okay, so there's some quick tips to help you stand out, because this is going to make you stand out. I mean, think about it. If you're sitting home today, and let's say that one of your passions is bicycling, and somebody sends you a postcard from the Tour de France, or somebody sends you a postcard from a bike race up in Michigan, or sends you a postcard from a bike race through the mountains of Jackson Hole, or let's say that you're a hiker and somebody sends you a postcard from the mountains of Denver, I mean, and just says thanks on the back for doing business from you. I mean, wouldn't that make you think of them, make you feel good about it? I mean, you bet it would. So just like my dad said, if you stop dating her, somebody else will. And just like I'm going to tell you, if you stop dating your customers, somebody else will. Pick up the phone, pick up a pen, and say thank you, and with no ties to it. Do that this week. Do as many times as you can. And I would dedicate, if I were you, at least a half hour to that task every day. You'll be surprised how many you can get through, how many you can get done. You'll be surprised how it will come back 1,000-fold. Hey, my name's Jeff Cowan, coming to you from thejeffcowan.com with this week's weekly podcast entitled Success in Professional Sales and Life in General. Take this message to heart, run with it, stand out, date your customers, and keep everybody else. Keep all those other suitors away. And in the meantime, between now and next week, go find as many prospects as you can. Get them excited about your product. You show your product. You get them to say yes to your product. You collect the commission and go live the life that you so deserve. Because between now and next week, that is exactly what I'm going to do. Make it a great one. It's a great day to be alive, everybody. Great day to be alive. Take care of yourself. Buy the book.